Late on a Friday, over the rocky, hostile terrain of southern Iran, an American F-15 Strike Eagle dropped out of the sky. On the ground, the surviving crew faced an immediate threat. Local Iranian citizens, spurred by the promise of a massive financial reward from Tehran, began scouring the hillsides to find them. For the U.S. military, this was a strategic nightmare. If those airmen were captured alive, they would instantly become human bargaining chips, sparking a prolonged prisoner of war crisis and handing the Iranian government a massive propaganda victory. The crash instantly turned a routine patrol in an advanced military asset into a race to secure the ultimate bargaining chip. American forces now had to beat the Iranian military to their own downed pilots. The U.S. response required massive logistical coordination. To pull the men out, the military sent dozens of aircraft, penetrating deep into heavily defended hostile airspace. To pull that off, they needed a smokescreen. The CIA simultaneously ran a series of complex decoy operations, deliberately confusing the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and blinding their radar network long enough for the extraction teams to slip through. Even with the deception, the extraction was messy. During the mission, 2 U.S. transport planes were unable to take off from an Iranian runway. To prevent that sensitive hardware from falling into enemy hands, American forces had to deliberately destroy their own aircraft on the tarmac. Despite the friction, the rescue held together. Both the pilot and the weapons systems officer were recovered alive, leading the U.S. president to declare they would never leave an American warfighter behind. It was a massive morale boost for the U.S. military. But while the airmen are safe, the mountains they left behind remain a live combat zone, with Iranian units still scouring the crash site for whatever remains. To understand why this crash almost ignited a hostage crisis, we have to zoom out. This region has been locked in a grinding war since late February. When the conflict began, leaders in the United States and Israel had a highly ambitious goal for their military campaign: total regime change in Iran. But that maximalist objective failed. Months into the bombing, the Iranian government and its military apparatus remained fully intact and aggressively operational. Without a definitive knockout blow to topple the government, the conflict mutated. It is now a brutal, region-wide stalemate where the two sides are fighting entirely different wars. Military strategists refer to this as asymmetric warfare. It happens when 2 unequally matched opponents avoid fighting on the same terms and instead try to bleed each other using totally different tactics. This diagram illustrates the deadlock. The U.S. and Israel use overwhelming conventional force, destroying the B-1 bridge and 70% of Iran's steel capacity. Conversely, Iran uses economic asymmetry. They've shut down the Strait of Hormuz, maintaining a chokehold on a vital global shipping waterway. They back up that blockade with volume. The Revolutionary Guard released footage of what they claim is their 95th consecutive missile barrage of the war. This bombardment rains debris onto U.S. allies. Falling shrapnel has ignited fires at petrochemical facilities in Abu Dhabi and oil storage centers in Bahrain. Further north in Kuwait, targeted strikes have forced critical power stations and massive water desalination plants offline entirely. These repeated hits on water and energy hubs show that Iran is successfully weaponizing regional infrastructure. By targeting vital allied systems, Tehran is exerting pressure far beyond its own borders. Despite the flawless execution of the search and rescue mission, the diplomatic reality is grim. There is no peace deal in sight. To force an end to the stalemate, the U.S. president has issued a strict deadline, telling Tehran they have exactly 48 hours before all hell rains down on them. The demand is simple. Iran must immediately agree to a diplomatic deal and fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz to global shipping. If the 48 hours pass without an agreement, the U.S. threatens to annihilate Iran's power plants and economic centers, a move the president says will bomb the country back to the Stone Age. Yet the Iranian public remains publicly defiant. Locals living near recently bombed sites express a clear preference for living in the rubble of their homeland over surrendering to foreign demands. Elite special forces can drop behind enemy lines and pull a downed pilot to safety. But tactical heroics cannot stop a ticking diplomatic clock, one that currently leaves the entire Middle East balancing